Good Wednesday morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Wednesday's morning sit-rep situation report and slash market intel brief. Futures and the market opened kind of flat. Yesterday was an incredible day in the market. We had about nearly 1,000-point swing in the Dow, from people at its highest up over 900 points to essentially closing flat to down a little bit. Was a massive move. So again, I'm going to remind people, if you don't know what you're doing, don't do anything. The easy money was made. Easy money was made on the implosion, and now this chop, unless you want to sit inside and stare at the screen all day, is blue collar trading, and I don't like blue collar trading. We have some bearish positions on, and I'm playing with folks on the Afterburner trading thread. That's a private, kind of very VIP higher end group of folks. I do an opening call, squawk box call with a lot of smart folks. London, New York, Chicago, Tokyo, and Hong Kong. And I pass along what I'm hearing from hedge fund folks, military folks, political folks that we have connections with, and pass that on to the Afterburner thread. So we've played some trades this morning, but at the end of the day, usually after I play some trades at the open, I'm gone. I'm going to go for a run or a bike ride right now, enjoy the day, and then maybe get on towards the end of the day and see how the market closes. The middle of the day is dead. If you were ever up in Chicago or New York, it's, guys go out used to go out for 2-hour lunches for a couple tin sandwiches and then maybe trade the close. Same thing with the open. So a very interesting market action. I'm sticking with we got another big leg to go down. I'm still hearing nightmares from a lot of business owners about this SBA thing, and Wells Fargo's not even lending any more money. And I get the president wants to be a cheerleader for the country. That should be his job, but an honest cheerleader. That's why I said Jamie Dimon, his letter to shareholders the other day, JP Morgan shareholders, it wasn't a letter to shareholders. It was a letter to America. The guy, after Trump, won his election, Jamie Dimon more or less said, well, hell, I can do that. If he can do it, I can do it. I'm a New Yorker. I'm a rich guy. I can do it if Trump can do it. And that kind of faded. But my point being is his letter to shareholders the other day, was the right mix of caution and hope. When Jamie Dimon says we're in for a bad recession, that using... let me translate that into normal folk. That means probably a depression. A bad recession for JP Morgan means a depression for America. We can't have that. That'll be bad. This country, a lot of folks in this generation, or any generation up until this point, if you're watching this video, you most likely didn't go through the Great Depression. Not too many people running around right now from the Great Depression. We've never seen sacrifice. If you're watching this video, you've never seen sacrifice, intense sacrifice, or intense hardship. I remember years ago when I went back up to visit Chicago and talked to some of my buddies, running some pretty big money up in Chicago. They said, look at this, man. I said, yeah, it's great. No, look, this is a risk. The biggest risk to our firm are these people, these 28, 30-year-old portfolio managers that at that point, they didn't ride the 2008 implosion. So the risk is people never really seeing a down market, and the risk is also people never experiencing hardship, right? Not too many folks watching these videos have stormed Omaha Beach from a Higgins boat under withering machine gun fire. Matter of fact, shameless plug, on the back of my book is a quote from Lloyd Blankfein. Lloyd Blankfein was the CEO of Goldman Sachs, and during the financial crisis, if you remember, Sundays were a big day. Sundays were a big day because of the Asian market open. So everybody was scrambling in the United States on Sundays to figure out what the hell we were going to do next. And apparently Lloyd Blankfein's in his limo, pulling up to the New York Fed, and I guess one of his lieutenants, kind of around him was freaking out. Here's Lloyd Blankfein's quote. You're getting out of a Mercedes to go into the New York Federal Reserve. You're not getting out of a Higgins boat on Omaha Beach, so keep things in perspective. Okay? We haven't seen hardship or panic. And I'm telling you that the selling that we've seen on the way down wasn't panic. It might have been panic to you, and it looks brutal on a chart. That was not panic selling. We haven't seen the panic selling yet. And I covered kind of Jeffrey Gunlock, where his we kind of has this fake bounce here on what? On hope. The other day, Governor Cuomo in New York was blowing sunshine up our what, and then all of a sudden yesterday it's the worst day ever in as far as deaths. So be wary of the cheerleaders. You always have to temper stuff. The president being a cheerleader 24/7 is just not good. That's part of the reason we're in this thing, is he was a cheerleader at the beginning. It's bullshit. Xi's a good friend of mine. I believe their numbers. Huge. Forget it. Under control. Believe me. And then every day watching him try and hurt his arm, straining himself, patting himself on the back for shutting things down early. He didn't shut things down early. He shut them down late, in my opinion. Weeks late. Eventually he got there. And by the way, according to an IG report, after quote-unquote shutting it down, 40,000 more Chinese got into this country. Fantastic. Quick reminder, as part of your book club or required reading, From Sea Level to Sea Level talks to you about how I went essentially from the cockpit to the trading pit, so to speak, virtually, and a lot about business and planning and strategy and all that stuff. So if you order one, I will sign it and get it in the mail today. I got about 50 of them sitting next to my desk in there. I got to go to the post office before it closes. So it's a good read, and I appreciate all the kind words and comments. I'm actually trying to write a book right now about this COVID crash and how we saw it coming. One of the only guys on the face of the earth that saw this coming, predicted it, as U.S. senators and, in essence, this president weren't telling you the truth. And like we've talked about, can you fault the president? Not now. Let's get through this, and I support his policies now, some of them, but we're going to debrief. And a lot of people, I'm not up for any 9/11 style commission for Nancy Pelosi or Adam Schiff to start doing that stuff now. We need to be joined at the hip and fighting this thing. So order a copy of this. It's go.topgunoptions.com/book. So the wings on the cover reminded me, a couple people have asked about that. So these were my wings that I wore on my uniform. That when I got done flying fighters, I had them bent into a ring. So that's my those are my wings. So 1 o'clock today, we're actually going to have some folks, a smart guy from Etrade is going to come and give us a demonstration of how to use the tools on the Etrade platform. And then tomorrow at 1 o'clock, I threw on an additional live trade brief, and it's going to be for our solo Amazon service. What do we trade in the solo Amazon service? Guess. Amazon, but we also trade XLY. XLY is an ETF. And currently about 27% of that ETF are Amazon shares. I think Home Depot's in there, Nike, McDonald's, I could care less about Nike, McDonald's, Starbucks. So there's good names in the XLY, because Amazon, right, it's $2,000 stock, might not have enough coin to be trading, even one contract in Amazon. So we use XLY as a good substitute for trading Amazon. So make sure you stop by tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and we'll do that solo Amazon brief, because I know some of you, I think we're almost, I got to check support. I think today we're closed with the full throttle max. We only take 50. I'm not Joe Exotic, man. We don't run a zoo. At one point, I think it was Tuesday's brief, we couldn't, Monday or Tuesday's brief, more than 1,000 people were trying to get into the room. I've never seen that warning messages, warning people are trying to get in and they can't get in. So I know some of you probably can't swing maybe a full throttle max membership, and you're looking for the monthly. We can't do it. I can't open monthlies, or we will have 1,000 people in the rooms. If you want to learn how to trade options, folks, this is the time. This book will tell you how I went from being laid out on my ass after 9/11, losing my job, getting furloughed, working 5 jobs. Wife was waiting tables at an Italian restaurant, to running, essentially help run a multi-billion-dollar volatility arbitrage firm in Chicago. I'm not that special, man. Lower middle class kid from South Jersey, South Philadelphia, political science major. Apparently that briefcase full of, hundreds that I slid to the Navy when I snuck in that week, or they were all hung over. So I can do this. You can do this. We have literally little old lady in tennis shoes trading options type of thing. And a couple of those little old lady in tennis shoes are millionaires. as a result of this downturn. For every buyer, there's a seller, man. So for everybody who was jumping, I warned you, man, not only about this COVID crap, but I warned you about the market in general. That October to January rip your face off rally was going to end. Hypoxic, right? I shared with you a couple weeks ago about my 7th birthday. Like last week was my 7th birthday when I almost died in Vail of HAPE, high altitude pulmonary edema. Literally was on my deathbed. The ER doc, when I eventually woke up in the ER, he's like, probably 5-10 minutes away from a heart attack, and you not being here. So why do I bring that up? Oh, hypoxia. So that market it was a matter of not if, but when that market was going to implode, and we nailed that. Not that the COVID stuff was just popping up on my radar. I didn't say that. I said, hey man, we're going to have a mid to late January pullback, and then February is going to be a shit show. February is always a shit show. It's one of the most volatile months of the in the stock market, and I didn't think it was going to be COVID, but once we had that January pullback, a little bit of a rally, and February came in, and I started hearing the COVID crap, I'm like, that's it. That's going to be the excuse that the market uses to sell off. I just didn't know it was going to be. I mean, this is insanity. It's heartbreaking, man. We're supposed to be reaching peak death this weekend on Easter, maybe. What? You know. Let's end on a high note. Let's hope we reach peak death on Easter. That's not what I want to say. If we do reach peak death on Easter, maybe Easter. What the hell's wrong with me? Easter. Maybe if we do, we can use that as a good sign, man. If we do, if that's, remember, once we hit quote peak death, what a milestone. Do you want to be the last person that dies for COVID? It's like, I forget the guy's name, but the last guy that died in World War II and like World War I. Do you want to be the last? So there's still, even on the backside of this curve, folks, it ain't over. It ain't over for us. I'm kind of confusing two things. The market, the market's forward looking. So the market's going to recover as people are still dying, folks, and it's going to be ugly. So remember, I wear 2 suits at Top Gun Options. Oh, there you go. I wear a flight suit. I'm going to tell you how I feel as an American. And just what I'm feeling from the heart and everything like that. But that's completely different than Gordon Gekko and how he's feeling, right? Okay, I mean, you just gotta set your flight suit aside sometimes if you're going to make money. For example, Brazil, we pounded Brazil into the dirt because Bolsonaro's an idiot. The guy makes Trump look sane. Bolsonaro is mental. Even his governors that supports the Sao Paulo governor and all these guys are like, this dude's nuts. It ain't just the flu. We're not going back to work. Bolsonaro's waiting in the crowds and shaking hands. Even his security details got masks on. And he's like, I'm not wearing this crap. It's a lie. We got to get back to work. He's Trump magnified. So we've literally made millionaires out of people trading EWZ. It's the Brazilian ETF. Anyway, let's hope this weekend we get bad news, which we can turn into good news. The market's going to recover, folks, and that's why you should use this time to get on board Top Gun Options. Solo Amazon that you can attend tomorrow, it's 1/3 of the cost of a Full Throttle Max membership. Why? We only trade Amazon in there, and it's 1 day a week. Full Throttle Max is 4 days of live trade briefs. So please, maybe you use Solo Amazon as a way to get in the door here and learn how to trade options, and then maybe eventually you can upgrade into that Full Throttle Max. Okay? All right, I got to get going. Got to jump on my Afterburner thread, see how some of the trades that I put out this morning are looking at. We're looking at bearish on XRT, the retail F. We're looking to get bearish through tomorrow on Apple. I think the weekly jobless claims tomorrow morning are going to be a nightmare, and the market's going to use that as a reason to either stay flat or sell off. Nobody I know wants to be long going into a 3-day weekend when it's just unknown how potentially bad it can be. Okay, so have a great rest of your day. I'll see many of you at 1 o'clock for the E-Trade demo. God bless. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge.